Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something that's making, well, serious waves.
Oh, yeah.
The whole rise of AI-generated music artists.
hmm
We've gathered quite a few sources here, articles, reports, all kind of circling around the legendary producer Timbaland's new venture, Stage Zero.
That's the one. And their first AI performer, TaTa.
Right, TaTa. So our mission really is to try and unpack what this all means for creativity, for the music industry itself, and, I mean, what does it even mean when the artist is literally code?
It's such a fascinating collision, isn't it?
Totally.
Because it's not just the technology side. It immediately throws up these huge questions about, art, authenticity, the business behind it all.
Absolutely. And Timbaland being right there,
Yeah.
maybe it's surprising to some, or maybe not if you know how innovative he can be.
Right. He's always pushed boundaries.
So tell us about Stage Zero and this artist, TaTa.
Okay, so Stage Zero, it's a new entertainment startup. It's co-founded by Timbaland, his creative collaborator, Zayd Portillo, and a film producer, Rocky Mudelair. Okay. And their whole focus, they say, is on building and developing these virtual music artists.
Purely virtual.
Seems like it. Timbaland apparently got interested after just experimenting with some AI music tech, I think, last year. He said he just saw the path forward.
Huh. Saw the path.
Yeah, and felt like he had to jump on it.
And TaTa is the first result of jumping on that path.
She is. They're introducing TaTa as this young, photogenic, female pop star avatar. Pink hair, very distinct look, already got a social media presence.
Of course.
And what's really interesting is how they're rolling her out. It's exactly like you'd market a human artist.
How so?
Well, they're talking about music videos, building her online character through interactions, basically doing everything to make her feel, real. They're even teasing her debut single.
So the whole package deal, not just dropping a song.
Exactly. And they're even trying to coin a genre for it.
Oh, yeah.
A pop. Artificial pop.
A pop. Okay.
And the vision goes beyond just music. They're talking about a whole roster of these virtual artists, maybe getting into influencing even movies, TV.
Wow.
Rocky Mudelair actually said Timbaland's role is to pioneer a new genre, A-pop.
That's ambitious.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get down to it. How is a song by TaTa actually made? Is it really just Timbaland pushing a button?
Well, Stage Zero is really emphasizing that it's a human-AI collaboration. Definitely not just pushing a button.
Okay, so how does it start?
It starts human. Timbaland and his team, they create the core musical ideas. The beats, melody demos, just like they normally would.
Right, in the studio, the visual process.
Exactly. That musical DNA, as you put it, is still human created.
Okay, then what?
Then, these demos get fed into Suno AI. And interestingly, Timbaland is now a strategic advisor for Suno.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So Suno takes these human demos and extrapolates from them. That means it builds on the initial idea, adding vocals, harmonies, that kind of thing.
Got it. So the human creates the foundation, the AI adds the performance layers, fills it out.
Pretty much, yeah. But then the human team steps back in. They write the lyrics.
Ah, crucial for meaning and authorship.
Exactly. And they refine the whole song. So think of it like this. AI handles the voice, the performance, some of the arrangement perhaps, but the humans are guiding the overall creative direction and writing the actual words.
What about TaTa's voice itself? Is that purely generated?
It is. It's an AI-generated voice powered by Suno. Now, Suno's tech is generative AI trained on a huge data set of music, which we should probably mention is where some big legal fights are happening right now.
Right, the training data issue. We'll get to that. But the voice sounds realistic.
Apparently very realistic.
Yeah.
But the key thing for TaTa having a consistent voice is a feature Suno rolled out, I think, late 2024, called Persona.
Persona, what's that?
It lets creators basically save a specific AI voice profile they like. So TaTa's voice, the story goes, actually originated from some random AI output Timbaland heard.
Just random.
Yeah, he apparently heard it and was just like, yo, this voice, it's amazing. So they used that persona feature to capture that specific sound and style.
So she doesn't sound like a different generic AI on every track. She has her own vocal identity.
Exactly. It's synthesized, sure, but it's stable. It's designed to have a consistent character and, convey emotion and style based on how it's programmed or prompted.
So the producers are still very much in control. It's not like they just type sad pop song and walk away.
Definitely not. Stage Zero's approach seems to be using AI more like a super advanced tool, like a session singer who's always available or a co-producer generating ideas, rather than just relying on simple text prompts. It's a hybrid workflow.
Blending the human touch with AI's power.
Right. to get something polished and hopefully personal, even if the person is AI.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, right?
Hmm.
Because Timbaland announces this, and the reaction wasn't exactly a standing ovation.
Oh, not at all. It definitely struck a chord, and not necessarily a positive one.
What?
The reception was really mixed, but honestly leaning pretty heavily negative, especially from music fans, other artists, people within the industry. There's this immediate, almost gut-level discomfort with music made by machines.
The whole does it have soul question.
Exactly. Can it? Should it? And I saw some of the comments online, too. People were not holding back.
Yeah, some were pretty brutal.
Right. Timbaland got quite a bit of flack on social media. Some people felt his comments maybe downplayed the human element. There were headlines like, Timbaland pisses people off.
All right.
Just a lot of confusion, anger, and some people calling it dystopian.
Wow, dystopia.
Yeah, and the inevitable accusations of being washed up for turning to AI.
Ouch.
It really boils down to this core skepticism. Are fans actually going to connect with or even just accept a performer who isn't a person? A lot of people seem very resistant right now.
And this is all landing right in the middle of this huge legal mess surrounding AI music generally.
Absolutely. Stage Zero is launching straight into this ongoing legal and ethical whirlwind. You've got the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, representing the major labels they've already sued AI music startups like Suno and Udio.
Right. What's their main argument?
It's all about the training data. The labels argue that these AI models were trained on massive libraries of copyrighted songs without getting permission, basically learning how to make music by ingesting potentially millions of protected works.
Okay. And Suno's defense is?
Suno has effectively admitted using huge amounts of music to train its AI, but they're arguing it falls under fair use.
Ah, fair use. Can you unpack that a bit for us? It's a tricky concept.
It really is. So fair use in U.S. copyright law allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission for certain purposes, things like criticism, commentary, news, teaching, research. Suno's angle seems to be that training an AI is a form of research or maybe a transformative use, using the material to create something fundamentally new, not just copying it.
But the labels obviously disagree. They see it as infringement.
Strongly disagree. They argue the AI is essentially mimicking styles and elements directly derived from their copyrighted works. And that leads to the million-dollar question.
Which is?
If the AI learned from all these human artists, is what it produces truly original? Or is it just a highly sophisticated mashup of existing styles and sounds?
And legally, that's still up in the air.
Totally unresolved. There are reports some companies are trying to negotiate licenses now to get permission to train on music, but the overall legal picture is just incredibly foggy. Plus, there's another layer.
Right.
Current U.S. copyright policy suggests that art generated purely by AI without significant human creative input might not even be eligible for copyright protection at all.
Seriously, so who owns TaTa's songs then?
That's the uncertainty. If a court decides the human input wasn't creative enough, the ownership gets really blurry. So you have questions about the input data and the ownership of the output. It's a legal minefield.
Wow. Okay, so beyond the lawyers, there's the cultural pushback too.
Oh, definitely. You've seen artists really speaking out.
Yeah, the open letters and things.
Right. Big names. Billie Eilish, Stevie Wonder, loads of others signing letters calling AI a potential threat to human creativity and demanding regulation. The core worry is that AI could just flood the market with cheap, maybe soulless songs.
Undercutting human artists.
Exactly.
Wow.
Taking away opportunities from people who dedicate their lives to music. So when someone like Timbaland launches an AI artist like TaTa, it lands right on those raw nerves.
It forces this debate, doesn't it? Is music fundamentally about human emotion and experience, or is it just patterns and sounds an algorithm could potentially master?
That's the heart of it. Stage Zero's view, or at least the one they're projecting, seems to be that this backlash is just temporary. Rocky Mueller apparently compared it to how people initially dismissed YouTubers or influencers.
Implying AI artists will just become another accepted format.
That seems to be their bet, that it'll just be another genre, another way entertainment happens. But, getting from here to there, that requires time, familiarity, and honestly, probably some really, really good AI-generated songs that actually win people over.
Yeah, the quality has to be there. It helps to remember this isn't the absolute first time we've seen virtual artists, right? There have been others.
Especially not the first rodeo. FN Meka is probably the most infamous recent example.
Ah, yes, the AI rapper.
Right. Launched by a company called Factory New in 2019, got massive on TikTok, like 10 million followers. They claimed his lyrics and beats were AI generated, though the voice was human.
And Capitol Records signed him.
They did. briefly in 2022, but then they dropped him almost immediately.
Why the sudden drop?
Huge public backlash. People found the character incredibly problematic, a crude racial stereotype, basically a caricature of a black rapper created and run by non-black creators. It just reeked of cultural insensitivity and lack of authenticity.
Oof. Yeah, that sounds bad.
It was a major lesson. Labels might be interested in the tech and the hype, but if the execution isn't credible, respectful, and culturally aware, the public will reject it fast.
So how does TaTa compare to that disaster?
Well, TaTa's persona, at least on the surface, doesn't seem built on that kind of appropriation. And Stage Zero is maybe being a bit more transparent about the human-AI collaboration. But the core lesson from FN Meka holds. The perception, the story, the respect, it matters hugely, even for a non-human artist.
Have other major labels dipped their toes in more recently? I thought Warner Music signed someone.
They did. Warner Music Germany signed Neuvieu in 2023.
Neuvieu.
Yeah.
She's that CGI fashion influencer, right?
Exactly. Created by Jörg Zuber. They released a single where she sings using an AI-generated voice alongside a human DJ. But here's a key difference in approach.
What's that?
Neuvieu's AI voice was specifically trained on recordings of a real human singer and then digitally altered to be unique.
Ah, so not generated from scratch like TaTa's is claimed to be.
Yeah. Right. And critically, Warner made a point of crediting all the human creators involved, the songwriters, the producers, and the original vocalist whose voice was used for the AI training. They explicitly said these humans would get royalties.
Sounds like they were trying hard to preempt the legal and ethical issues.
It seems like a deliberate strategy to avoid the whole stolen training data controversy by licensing the source voice properly.
So we're seeing different models emerge then.
Absolutely. Warner essentially took an existing virtual persona and added a musical layer using licensed AI tech. Stage Zero is building the artist as an AI creation from the ground up, guided by humans. Both show major label interest, but they're testing different waters.
And we should remember, virtual performers aren't entirely new, even before this AI boom.
Not at all. Hatsune Miku in Japan is the classic example.
The Vocaloid.
Right, launched way back in 2007. She's essentially a voice software package. Fans write songs using her synthesized voice derived from a real voice actress, and she performs as a hologram. Huge global phenomenon.
But the key difference there is that creativity is human, using her voice as an instrument.
Exactly. And more recently, you have groups like KDA from the League of Legends game, or MAVE, a South Korean group using AI enhancements and avatars with real singers. It's a spectrum.
So these examples prove audiences can embrace virtual performers.
They definitely can. But often there's a strong element of human creativity, community involvement, or transparency that helps build that bridge. Stage Zero is interesting because they're pushing the AI involvement further into the creative process itself and making the performer fundamentally an AI entity. The big question remains, will a mainstream Western pop audience connect with that when there's no human backstory?
And Stage Zero is just one player. There's a whole ecosystem of AI music startups out there now.
Oh, yeah. It's booming. Companies like Oxumin creating AI musicians, Boomi letting users generate songs super fast. Google has Music LM. OpenAI had Jukebox. The tech is evolving rapidly, aiming to assist humans or even generate full tracks. Stage Zero stands out because of the Timbaland connection and the very clear goal of building a mainstream brand around an AI singer. That puts them right under the microscope.
So let's get philosophical for a minute. What does it actually mean when the artist is code? How does that change things?
It really pushes us to think about what we value in music, doesn't it? Is it the raw human experience poured into it, the emotion, the artist's story? Or is it ultimately about the final product, the sound itself?
And proponents might say?
They might argue, look, if the song is good, does it matter who or what made it? Especially in pop, which is often very team-driven already. You have multiple writers, producers.
Right, the hit-making machine.
Exactly. So maybe an AI artist is just the next logical step in optimizing that machine, an extension of it.
But the counter-argument is all about connection, right?
Yeah.
Authenticity.
That's the big hurdle. Skeptics argue that fandom, real fandom, is built on that connection to their artist's story, their personality, their perceived authenticity. Can you truly form an emotional bond with lines of code, however sophisticated? Will AI performers always just feel like a novelty?
And what about the impact on, say, human songwriters.
That's a huge concern. There's a real fear that if algorithms can just pump out endless, decent-sounding songs, it'll drastically reduce the demand for human writers and composers. AI can already generate melodies, chord progressions, even lyrical ideas.
So is it just straight up competition, AI versus human creators?
It could be seen that way, but the other perspective is AI as a powerful assistant. Imagine a songwriter using AI to brainstorm dozens of melodic fragments or try out different genre styles instantly, then taking the best bits and weaving them into something uniquely their own.
Boosting productivity, maybe?
Potentially, yeah. Speeding up exploration. The economic worry, though, is if labels decide they can just get good enough songs from AI without needing to pay royalties to human writers. It's significant, as we noted, that Stage Zero is still using humans for lyrics.
Partly for copyright, maybe partly for that human touch.
Likely both. So maybe songwriting evolves. It becomes more about curating AI output, guiding it, editing it, infusing it with genuine human experience and narrative. The craft changes, the tools change, but it's not necessarily eliminated.
What about singers? If AI can sing perfectly in any style?
Yeah, what's the role of the traditional vocalist? You could draw a parallel to drum machines. They definitely changed drumming, shifted how beats were made, but they didn't wipe out human drummers. An AI vocalist becomes another tool in the producer's kit.
Making it easier for producers to add vocals without needing a singer.
Exactly. Lowering barriers, which, yes, could potentially reduce demand for session singers or even impact the traditional star system for certain kinds of music. But you also see artists embracing it themselves.
Like Grimes.
Right, Grimes making her AI voice model available for fans to use, offering royalties. That's flipping the script. The artist as an AI platform. So artists are finding ways to collaborate with AI versions of themselves.
But live shows. People still want to see a human on stage, don't they? Mostly.
Generally, yes. That live connection is powerful, although we have seen hologram concerts work, like Hatsune Miku. But it raises wild questions. Could the biggest stars of tomorrow be entirely virtual, managed by teams? Imagine an AI act winning a Grammy. What would that even mean for the award for the industry?
And there's the quality concern, too. If AI learns from past hits, won't it just be derivative, formulaic?
That's a real risk. AI optimizing for what's already popular could lead to a lot of generic-sounding fast food music. Human artists draw on life, culture, unexpected moments. Can AI truly replicate that spark? Proponents argue that, guided by a skilled human, AI is just a tool to express their vision. Stage Zero claims they respect human creativity in their process.
But the fear is the floodgates open for low-effort stuff.
Exactly. Anyone pressing a button to generate music?
So the reality's probably somewhere in between.
That feels most likely. AI probably won't kill human creativity, but it will reshape it. It might force human artists to double down on authenticity, storytelling, raw emotion, the things AI can't easily fake. And it does open doors for non-performers, like producers creating full tracks with AI vocals. The landscape gets more crowded, maybe more diverse, maybe noisier, and the producer, the creator behind the curtain, arguably becomes even more central.
Okay, let's pivot to that business side. Why are producers like Timbaland so keen on this? What are the incentives?
Well, control is a huge one, creatively and financially. With TaTa, Stage Zero owns the artist IP. There's no negotiating with a human star about creative differences or demanding contract clauses.
And the money. Fewer slices of the pie.
Potentially a much bigger slice for them, yeah. Think about traditional royalty splits: writer, publisher, performer, label. With a wholly owned virtual artist, the production house potentially bypasses many of those splits. If they own the singer AI, they might keep a much larger share of the revenue generated by the music.
Creating hits without needing a specific, maybe expensive human star.
Precisely. Remember that quote from the FN Mika founder? Machines can run this process more efficiently. Efficiency often means lower costs and consolidated ownership for the creators of the virtual artist.
And it's not just about song revenue, is it?
Not at all. An AI artist is prime multimedia IP. You can license them for commercials, virtual events, merchandise, digital collectibles like NFTs, all without the physical limitations or demands of a human performer. It's a 360-degree ownership model, almost like Disney owning Mickey Mouse. Plus, if Stage Zero develops unique AI tech for TaTa, they could potentially license that technology out too.
So the producer becomes the artist, the label, the tech developer, the brand manager, all rolled into one.
It's moving in that direction, yes. It's a ton of work behind the scenes, maintaining the illusion, refining the tech, managing the brand. But the potential upside of owning both the artist and the technology is enormous.
But, and this is a big but, That ownership relies entirely on the legal side working out.
Absolutely critical point. If the AI was trained on unclear data, that whole 100% rights claim crumbles. You face lawsuits, takedowns, inability to monetize. The heart on my sleeve track with the fake Drake and Weekend voices is the cautionary tale.
Right, it went viral but got yanked.
Exactly. Universal Music Group pulled it because of unauthorized use of their artists' likenesses and voices, likely trained on their copyrighted recordings. It highlights the risks around copyright and the right of publicity. You can't just commercially use someone's voice or likeness without permission.
So how are companies like Stage Zero navigating this?
It seems Stage Zero is trying to mitigate the right of publicity risk by creating an original AI voice for TaTa, not mimicking a specific famous singer. And Warner Music's approach with Neuvieu licensing a real singer's voice before training the AI is another strategy to try and get the IP right from the start and ensure humans are compensated. Producers can gain a lot, but they have to tread very carefully with IP or face serious consequences.
It also sounds like AI really supercharges the producer's role.
It absolutely does. A single producer can now potentially handle almost the entire creative process. Beats, melodies, vocals, mixing, mastering. It elevates the producer from maybe a background figure to the undisputed central creative force. We might see more producers essentially fronting projects with virtual vocalists. Timbaland is kind of the perfect archetype for this.
And for up-and-coming producers, a game changer.
Potentially huge. Suddenly you have access to any vocal style you want without needing a budget for a session singer. It allows for incredible freedom to experiment. It could unleash a lot of producer-driven creativity.
Although I guess you can't blame the singer if the vocal track is bad.
Exactly. The buck stops with you if you program the AI. And it demands new skills.
Like what?
Prompt engineering, definitely. Learning how to guide the AI effectively. Designing the AI voice's character, its nuances, thinking like a casting director, even for an artificial performer. Producers need to wear even more hats. Songwriter, performer-director, A&R. Those who adapt fastest probably gain the most.
So looking really big picture now, is AI going to fundamentally change the music industry forever?
It certainly feels like ventures such as Stage Zero are signposts towards potentially massive shifts. You could definitely see labels signing algorithms or virtual personas right alongside human talent in the future.
Artists competing side by side, human and digital.
Yeah, or hybrid models emerging. Maybe human artists using AI versions of themselves for certain things, releasing bonus tracks, performing in virtual worlds, that kind of thing. The economics could definitely shift too, tilting towards whoever owns the valuable AI models and the virtual IP.
More partnerships between tech and music, labels buying AI startups.
Very likely. And this whole trend is putting immense pressure on the legal system to update intellectual property laws for the digital age. We might see new frameworks emerge.
Like what?
Maybe things like specific AI training licenses, where AI companies pay royalties into a pool for the right to use music libraries for training, or new kinds of rights for synthesized performances. There's already talk about watermarking AI content or requiring disclosure.
And those big lawsuits we mentioned. Their outcomes will set huge precedents.
Absolutely critical. Will it be settlements where AI companies pay up, establishing a licensing norm? Or will courts find some aspects of AI training fall under fair use? It also challenges basic concepts like authorship. Will AI be listed as a contributor on songs? Can an AI even hold copyright, or is the human curator always the legal author? Lots to figure out.
But amidst all the anxiety, there are opportunities for human artists too, right? It's not purely a threat.
Definitely not purely a threat. AI offers powerful tools, especially for independent artists, creating high-quality demos or even full tracks without needing a huge budget or a full band. We talked about Grimes.
Right, the AI voice model.
Yeah, artists like her, or Holly Herndon, who trained an AI on her voice called Holly Plus, are exploring ways to use AI collaboratively, even allowing others to use their AI voice models with revenue sharing. It shifts the narrative towards AI as a new avenue for creativity with artist consent.
And maybe even new jobs emerge from this.
For sure. Prompt writers who specialize in music generation, AI voice designers, people creating virtual choreography for avatars. For artists and creatives willing to adapt, AI offers a whole new toolkit. But the key ultimately is listener acceptance.
Does the audience care how it was made if the music is good?
That's the billion-dollar question. We have precedents, as we discussed, enjoying music from fictional bands like Gorillaz or the Archies for years. The difference now is the AI's potential role in the actual creation and maybe even authorship.
So TaTa is a huge test case. real fans or just a tech curiosity.
Exactly. Stage zero is betting, as Medelier put it, that AI is not going anywhere. They believe it'll become normalized, just another part of the music landscape like synthesizers or auto-tune were before it. The industry will likely find ways to accommodate both human and AI talent, maybe in different ways, serving different
So
needs.
the very definition of who or what can be a music creator is expanding right now.
It really is. The next superstar you discover, well, they might not be human.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive, looking through all these sources, it really lays bare the tensions, doesn't it? The excitement versus the anxiety, innovation versus tradition, efficiency versus authenticity.
It really does. It's that constant push and pull between the new possibilities and what we feel makes music fundamentally human.
Exactly. It feels like a genuine turning point we're witnessing.
It certainly could be.
So, a final thought for you listening. As these AI music artists keep emerging, will it change how you define who gets to make music? And what does being a fan mean in that context? Definitely something to think about as you hear what comes next.